Welcome back to painting realistic flowers in watercolor. In the last video, I showed you how I trace and start painting this large dahlia in the center of my reference photo. And today we're going to finish up this flower. Now, just like last time, I'm going to talk briefly about my process of how I go petal by petal, and then you'll be able to see the process and the final product. The top of this flower is much lighter and much more yellow than the bottom half of this flower. And while I'm not being necessarily super accurate to the colors on the reference photo, I am trying to match the lightness and darkness of what I'm seeing. So especially on the top part of this flower, it's all going to be about light touches here and there, maintaining a lot of that white or lightest area of the paper, and looking at these tiny little differences and value changes to build up the layers of this painting. I said in the last video that my process is to study the reference photo, look at each individual petal, notice the slight details that I see, and then paint each petal individually. That might mean getting the whole thing wet with a base color. It might mean getting the whole thing wet just with water and maintaining that white paper and dropping in some color. And it might mean starting with the dry paper, putting some paint on it, and then blending that out to white at the top. I also use my liner brush a lot in this video to add these little vein details. You're also going to notice that I touch the paper a lot with my finger, and maybe that's not the best practice because the oils from my finger can get on the paper, but I don't really care. I will add in a detail, and then to mute it or to smudge it a little bit so it's not a super sharp line, I'll kind of touch it with my finger as opposed to adding more liquid from my brush. You don't have to do that when you're adding details to a flower. I just noticed as I was editing this that I did it a whole lot, especially as I'm adding in these veins. For some of these petals, I'm barely adding any color at all, especially at the top. These petals are pretty much white or super light yellow, so I might just be adding in the veins and letting the rest of it be light. I've edited this video down to being just about, I think about 15 minutes or so, but really this process takes me a long time. Because I go petal by petal, I don't have to speed up and worry about the whole area drying out too quickly. I can spend a lot of time just looking at the reference photo and making observations, and there's really no hurry with this. This took me The whole flower, I think, took me 3 hours. And that was a lot of time of just looking at the photo and going slow. So do not take this video as the reality of how quickly I can paint this. That's just straight up not true. It takes me a while, but it's so relaxing. Okay, I think that's all my tips. I'm gonna let you just watch my process for now, and then I'll talk about the final stages. Enjoy. Okay, it's at this point in the process that I have added paint to every petal, and now it's going to be a matter of adding and finishing details. I'm zooming out for the rest of this video because I stood up and added some distance between me and the paper so I could look at it as an entire composition and see where my eye gravitates towards and where I want to add deeper values and more contrast, more shadow. One thing I realized once I added that distance is that that middle portion of the flower, I wanted to darken it and make the whole thing just a little bit darker than the surrounding area. So I'm mixing up this kind of rosy purple, and I'm just going to glaze some of this paint over the dry center of the flower, and then I'm happier with the contrast there. I struggled a little in this painting process to figure out what color I wanted to be my darker shadows for these yellow petals. I just struggle to paint with yellow when I'm painting botanicals, but with this distance, I decided to up the intensity of that red. And instead of kind of this muted purple, I used more of a pigmented, like reddy pink. And I like how that makes it feel kind of illuminated from inside. So I'm adding in my little final touches. I'm so excited to finish off the other two flowers and then add the background. So the plan is, I promise the next ones are going to be single videos. I'll do the top flower in one video, the bottom flower in another, and then finish off. I'm going to be real brave and try to paint the background instead of leaving it white. So stay tuned. Thanks for joining. See you next time.